Hello everyone, it's Alina. Welcome to my Soap General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital spoilers recap for Monday, January 29, shows that Laura Collins was relieved when Kevin Collins woke up and properly answered Portia Robinson's questions to test his cognitive ability. Kevin agreed Esme Prince knocked him out, but he wasn't sure when he heard about the police following up on the lead in Toronto. However, Kevin remembered Esme using the invader's credit card instead of her own on the laptop, so Laura decided to phone Alexis Davis. After Alexis checked in with Hamilton Finn at the courts and got information on the scam developments, she was summoned to the hospital. Alexis confirmed that Esme routinely used the invader's card and eventually conducted some investigating to learn that Esme booked a flight to Paris. At Toronto, a local constable met Maggie Fitzgerald with Dan Falconeri and Harrison Chase, but Esme wasn't at the apartment. Maggie stated that she wrote Esme with her address, but she never extended an offer to come there and imperil her new position of employment. Dan recognized they'd been tricked and got the news about the Paris vacation once he spoke to Laura over the phone. Meanwhile, Spencer Cassadine and Trina Robinson shared a romantic meal and discussed all their Paris plans. Once Spencer took Trina off for a surprise, Esme appeared up outside the restaurant and followed them. Back at GH, Curtis Ashford was ready to try standing in his physical therapy session, but Stella Henry suddenly emerged and didn't think that was a good idea. After Curtis urged, he attempted to stand using the stability of the bars, but he ultimately had to sit down in his chair. Curtis was dismayed, but Stella gave him a pep talk and reminded him of previous problems he'd conquered in the past. Just because it didn't happen on the first try didn't mean it wasn't going to happen, so Curtis took that advice to heart and filled Portia in on everything later. Curtis was determined to walk by the time Trina returned back from Paris. At the courthouse again, Finn was anxious about Mrs. Muldoon potentially going to prison if they blew up the malpractice fraud problem. That would leave the Muldoons' children without a parent. Tracy Quartermain was more worried about Finn's personal legal implications and felt that Martin Gray had to raise the potential of the fraud in court. Martin threw the name Dr. Powell to Diane Miller as a new witness, since that was evidently the oncologist that Dennis Muldoon went to. Diane definitely didn't have any notion who that was. Back with Mrs. Muldoon, she confronted Finn about not discovering the malignancy. Finn informed Mrs. Muldoon that he encouraged her husband to obtain follow-up tests, but Mrs. Muldoon acted like he never would have played with his health. Mrs. Muldoon stated that family was everything to her husband, who was the one who proposed that she sue for malpractice and take care of the family when he was gone. Finn decided Mrs. Muldoon was fully in the dark about Mr. Muldoon's plans, so he transmitted that info to Elizabeth Baldwin, Gregory Chase, Tracy, and Martin. Since court was set to resume, Martin worried if Finn intended to follow forward with their new approach, so Finn had to decide whether he'd risk throwing suspicion on Mrs. Muldoon and maybe sending her to jail. As for Tracy, she cornered Mrs. Muldoon in the corridor. Although Mrs. Muldoon wasn't enthusiastic on having a debate, Tracy acted like she could do all the talking instead. General Hospital spoilers predict that twists and turns are still to come in Finn's trial, so stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, January 30, state that Laura Collins will give Curtis Ashford and Portia Robinson updates on Esme Prince's trip to Paris, so they'll all worry about Trina Robinson and Spencer Cassadine getting targeted. Meanwhile, Trina will marvel over Spencer's surprise as he prepares to take her down the Seine on a romantic boat trip. Unfortunately, Esme is already in Paris, and according on Tuesday's GH preview trailer, it looks like she's armed with a syringe, duct tape, and any other equipment she needs to pull off her retribution plot. Although Laura will reach out to Spencer and Trina via phone to warn them, they'll have a bad connection. Trina will presume Laura is just checking in, so it seems she won't learn the unsettling news regarding Esme's location. However, Spencer is on the edge of finding something, so it sounds like he'll come face to face with Esme. A major showdown is coming up by midweek, so GH fans will see lots of drama as Spencer's leave looms. Back in Port Charles, Martin Gray will once again ask Hamilton Finn how they should continue. Will they go forward as planned or go with the new theory about Dennis Muldoon's malpractice fraud idea? It's troubling considering Mrs. Muldoon is the only parent her kids have left and seems to have no information about the fraud scheme her husband cooked up. At the same time, Finn has to worry about his own case as he could lose if they don't bring forth the new idea, and that could certainly harm Violet Finn. What Finn decides may not matter anyhow since Tracy Quartermain just surrounded Mrs. Muldoon and is now taking charge of the situation. Tracy will give Mrs. Muldoon an education on a couple subjects and hopefully convince her to call off the lawsuit. Mrs. Muldoon may hear enough to recognize her husband set Finn up and convince Diane Miller to stop all this, for her own protection if nothing else. Whatever the case, Diane will undoubtedly make a surprise courtroom declaration that leaves Finn wondering what just transpired, so this should all be over shortly. At Pentonville, Jordan Ashford and Anna Devane will get ready to grill John Brennan. Anna will feel that Brennan is playing games, so she'll want to find out why. Brennan might easily opt to play even more, especially if he decides he wants to see Carly Spencer again. We know Anna and Jordan will organize another meeting later this week, so Brennan might insist on talking to Carly if they want info for their inquiry. In Puerto Rico, Dex Heller will let Sonny Corinthos and Ava Jerome know about a threat, one that's evidently followed them all the way to Summey's Island. General Hospital spoilers claim a gunfight is on the road, so Ava will be scared when she's forced to run for cover along with Sonny. General Hospital spoilers claim that Harrison Chase and Brooke Lynn Quartermain don't seem to comprehend just how swiftly Gregory Chase is fading. Chase and Brooke Lynn decided to speed up their wedding date for Gregory, but they're also putting some unwarranted pressure on him. Gregory tried to gracefully decline when Brooke Lynn and Chase asked him to be their wedding officiant. Since ALS also impairs speech, Gregory voiced fear about slurring his words and not being properly understood when he's guiding the happy couple through their vows. However, Chase and Brooke Lynn convinced Gregory that he didn't have to worry about saying everything just perfectly. How could Gregory say no when Brooke Lynn and Chase acted like their special day wouldn't be complete without him performing the ceremony? Chase and Brooke Lynn agreed to have another officiant on standby in case Gregory decided to walk out, but they've driven Gregory into a hole where he'll think he's going to let them down. Gregory froze up in the Metro Court lately until Tracy Quartermain came to his help, thus his condition is getting worse swiftly. Although Gregory is attempting to hang in there and stay strong until the wedding, it's easy to envision him crumbling at the reception. Brooke Lynn and Chase may receive their perfect marriage, but the following could bring pain. There could be a circumstance where Gregory keels over and has to be brought to GH in an ambulance. Gregory could end up bedridden and endure the rest of his quick deterioration soon after. There's even a potential the stress that Gregory's facing will lead to some other health concerns that might hurry his demise along. It doesn't look like the show's going to deliver any magical treatments or a mistaken diagnosis here. All signs point to Gregory really going away from this sickness someday, therefore Brooke Lynn and Chase's wedding may be the beginning of the end. It could pave the way for Gregory's funeral once the final phases of his deterioration play out, so remain with us for updates on the tragic news that's brewing. So what do you guys think about this update? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my videos, please click like and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys next time.